sorry. Okay, then of course for the level, your English, you must have, you know, passed the upper intermediate. Okay, because in English we have six levels. We have, it's just like Turkish. So we have, they say, okay, so we have A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. Okay, so there are six. Now, so the first one is the beginner or the starter. The second one is the elementary. The third is pre-intermediate. The fourth is the intermediate. The fifth is upper intermediate, and then we have advanced. Okay, so for any university to accept any student, especially when it comes to the English language, the student must be, you know, must have already covered those 5 levels. Okay, and the focus of the proficiency test. So here we can write, for example, the level. Okay, at least upper intermediate, of course, or advanced. That's much better if it's advanced. The second thing is the areas they focus on. Of course, first of all, we have vocabulary. Okay, so we're going to work a lot on our vocabulary. If you know, for example, 5,000 words, you need to work hard in this month to make them 10,000. If you already know 10,000, you need to make them 15,000, and so on. The second area is grammar. Okay, these are the 2 main areas that any proficiency test focuses on. But of course, these 2 areas are going to be applied on the 4 skills that we have. So of course, there will be reading, listening, and then we have, of course, speaking, and at the end we have writing. Okay, so we have 2 areas, or you can say 2 aspects of the language, which are the vocabulary and the grammar. And after that, we have the 4 skills that you're going to be tested on. So if you really want to succeed, you have to study 2 things, vocabulary and grammar. What are the skills? You have to practice. How can we be great readers? We have to keep reading. How can we be very good listeners? We have to keep listening. The same thing for speaking and writing. So to master any skill, you have to practice it. So these are the 2 rules that you need to focus on. For grammar and vocabulary, you have to study a lot of vocabulary and grammar. And for the skills, you have to practice every single day. Okay, maybe you can make, for example, for each day, 1 skill you focus on, or 2 skills. For example, today I'm going to read something and I'm going to listen to something. And then on the other day, I'm going to try to do some speaking and writing. If you do these things, inshallah, everything will be fine. Of course, according to the practice tests that we do, that we do here together in the course, and learn from our mistakes and so on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the first area that we can talk about now, because this is the foundation for many questions that you are asked about, which is grammar. Okay, we have 2 main points that we have to focus on when it comes to grammar. These are the 2 basic topics that you have to be sure that you know them all, understand them all, and then of course practice on them. These 2 areas in grammar that we have are, first of all, tenses. And I believe that you studied tenses a lot before. And the second one is the area of, we can say here, just a second, let me fix it. Yeah, we can say active versus passive. Because there are many questions on the test that focus on these 2 areas. And again, if you know these areas, you have the foundation for many questions and you can answer correctly and get a higher score. Okay, first of all, guys, when we talk about tenses, how many tenses do we have in English in general? Not the specific ones. We have 3. Okay, what are they? We have the present, we have the past, and we have, what is the third one? Can you tell me?
Future.
The future. Perfect. So these are the 3 general tenses: present, past, future. But there is also something else called aspects. And those aspects are 4. So we have the simple aspect. And what is the second one? What do we usually have after simple?
Continue.
We have the continuous. And then we have the perfect. And then the last one is a combination of continuous and perfect. So it's perfect, continuous. If we put these together, the 3 tenses, and we multiply them with the 4 aspects, how many tenses do we have? 3 times 4? 12. So for example, look, we have present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous. These 4, again, past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous. And then we have future, future continuous, future perfect continuous. So these are the 12 tenses that we have in general, of course, according to some other things we can talk about later. Now, when we say tense, what are we referring to? Any idea? What does it mean, tense?
Time.
Good. So it's the time aspect of the verb. So let's put them here. So these are the tenses, and then we have the aspects. Yes, so the tense is the time aspect of the verb. Okay? And then, now before that, we can go one step back here, and we talk about the sentence in English. Okay, what is a sentence?
A group of words.
Sorry?
A group of words.
A group of words, perfect. And to have any group of words functioning as a complete sentence, what are the 2 main elements? We must have subject and verb. Okay, all the time. And then after the verb, it depends. Like the general rule is subject and verb. And after that, you can have object, you can have prepositional phrase, you can have time phrase, you can have adverbial phrase, you can have anything depending on what the sentence needs. But of course, you must have subject and verb. Okay? And where does the tense work? How do we change the tense from present to past to future? It's all about the verb. Okay? And that's why we said the tense is the time aspect of what? It's of the verb, which means whenever you want to change the tense, then you have to change the form of the verb. Do you agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Now we can go here. So now, since we talked about that, all we need to change is just the form of the verb. Okay? So again, we have subject here, and we have the verb there, and it depends on the verb to make the changes in the form that will make it present, past, future, whatever it is. So I'll send you, several units that deal with all the tenses in an easy way, in an interactive way, so that you can study them. So here's the thing, what's going to happen. You study from the units that I send you. Of course, I'll also provide you with the answer key, because each unit is followed by a whole page of exercises. So you study the unit, you do the exercises, you check your answers with the answer key to see how you are doing, which mistakes you have made, what are the mistakes about, what can you do about them, and so on. So you are learning, you are improving your grammar, you're improving your vocabulary, and so on. And then, of course, you will do a test. So when you do the test, you apply what you learned. And after that, we have our sessions here, and we are going to discuss the questions. For example, we have 80 questions in this test that you've done, right? Now, any questions that both of you, got the right answer for, we're not going to discuss it. Because you already got the right answer, it means there's no problem. We can skip it and focus on the questions that you made mistakes for or at. Okay? So that's for the tenses and the aspects. Now, the verb itself, so these are called tenses, but the verb also has something called voice, the verb voice. Okay? And it has 2 main voices that you have here, which are the active and the passive. So here we have tenses, here we can say verb voice. And we said for the verb voice, we have the active versus the passive. For the active, the sentence, as we already mentioned, we have subject and verb, and you continue. That's it. For the passive, of course, you have to make changes. So let me just put it here to separate them from each other. Okay. So what are the changes that we have in the passive? Look, many people say that passive is very complicated and it's very difficult. It is not. It has only one form. What is that form? Look, if we talk about that subject and verb, and let's say, for example, here also in the active, after the verb, we have an object. What does it mean, object, of course? What is object in grammar? Subject is the person or the thing that's doing the action. So it's فاعل. Verb is the action itself. فاعل. Object.
Like the target.
Yeah, it's the thing or the person that receives the action. So المفعول به, right?
Yeah.
Now here is the thing. In the passive, you take that object and you make it the subject. Okay? And then before you write or add or, you know, say the verb, you must always have verb to be. After verb to be, you can have the verb itself, but this time the verb is always past participle. And we're going to talk about that, of course. And if you want to mention the real subject who did the action, you can add by. Okay, let's see that in an example. So if you go to the active sentence, for example, subject people, that's your subject. Verb, for example, use. And what do they use? Let's say people use computers a lot nowadays. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you with me?
Yes, I would do.
Okay, so we have people, the subject, and then we have use, the verb. And what do they use? They use computer, or sorry, computers. What happened? Sorry, no, here. And that's the object. Now let's make the same sentence passive. What do? We said we take the object and we make it the subject. So what should we start our sentence with?
Subject people.
Which one? Is it people?
Yeah.
No. We take the object of the active sentence and we make it the subject in the passive sentence. Where is the object in the active sentence?
Computers.
Computers. So we say computers. And then what do we need here? Verb to be. Okay? And here's the point. We're going to talk about it later. So we can say computers are. What about the past participle? The past participle, it's either you add ed to the verb, and that's if the verb is regular, if it accepts ed at the end. If it doesn't, we have the third form. Like we have see, saw, seen, right? We have speak, spoke, spoken, and so on. So computers are used because use takes ed. You can say computers are used a lot nowadays. Now, of course, here, and one of the main uses for the passive is that we don't mention the real subject most of the time. Why? Because it's clear. Of course, who's using the computers? It's people, right? So computers are used a lot nowadays. So now let's summarize the changes that we have between the passive and the active. Okay, let's see. So first of all, this is the object, which was computers, and we made it the subject. That's the first change. The second change, which happens to the verb, is that now we have be, and the verb must be past participle. But which be should I use? Here it depends on what? Look, it depends on the tense. For example, use is in the present simple. And that's why we said are. Because what is the present simple form of be? This is present simple, okay? How do we write be in present simple? Simply, we have am, is, or are. What about the past symbol? We have was or were. Just a second. Okay, so was or were. What about, for example, if it's present but continuous? Now here's the thing. Because it's present, we still use am is are. Okay? But this time, because it's not simple, it's continuous. How do we make any verb continuous, guys? Any idea? If you want to make any verb in the continuous form, what do you add to the verb?
ing.
Yes. So here, what do we have? Being. So we use am is are, but we still need to use being to make the signal that it's continuous. The same thing, past continuous. Because it's in the past, we still need was or were. But to say that this is past continuous, we must add being. Okay. What if it is present perfect? Can somebody help me here? What if it is present perfect? If it's present perfect, then we use have been or has been. What if it's past perfect? We use had been. Okay? So if we talk about the passive, it's only one form. And you need always to keep that in mind. It's subject, verb to be, past participle, and then the rest of the sentence. Which verb to be should we use? It depends on the tense. As I showed you here, if it's present simple, am is are. Present continuous, am is are, and being, am being, is being, are being. If it's past simple, was or were. Continuous, was being, were being. If it's present perfect, have been, has been. If it's past perfect, had been. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then to the verb that comes after verb to be, it must be, as we said, past participle. What do we mean here by past participle? We said if the verb is regular, we can just add ed, as we did here. Look, we said used. If it's not regular, then we need to use verb 3. Okay? So far, is everything clear?
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No.
No.
Okay. So this is about the active versus passive. And as I said, I'll send you units to show you, again, the differences with some more examples, some more exercises to practice. Because look, the ideas that we have here in English are easy. And, you know, we can understand them quickly, everything is fine. It's just a matter of practice. You have to practice a lot so that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, let's see here now. For example, if we do this now. This is the test that you have done, okay?
Okay.
So if we go, for example, to question number 14. Here, they're asking you about two things. The two things that I was talking about. In number 14, they're asking you about the tense. And that's why here you have, look, you have present continuous. You have present perfect, but this time, look, it's passive. You have future, and you have past simple, also passive. So the second thing that they ask you with the tense is the voice. Should the verb be in the active voice or the passive voice? And this is for question number 40. Now, of course, this is the grammar, but remember that we need to understand the question from the vocabulary. First of all, I have although. So although is a conjunction. What do we use it for? To show contrast. Although the crime scene, something thoroughly, which means completely or fully, nothing meaningful, something. Okay? So now you look at this. First of all, from the meaning of the sentence, you're talking about something that happened in the past. Okay? It doesn't make sense to use present or future. That's why here, A, you must immediately eliminate it. You cannot say, although the crime scene is searching. First of all, this is active, and it doesn't make sense. The scene is the place. Can we say that the place is searching? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So we don't need active. What do we need here? Passive. So that's what I learned from the meaning. I cannot say the place is searching. We have people searching the place. So I need passive. And because from the sentence, again, it's past, that's for the tense. So if we think about the passive issue, A is wrong and C is wrong. Because again, I cannot say the crime scene will search. So now I know that A and C are wrong because of two reasons. The first one, because they are active and I need passive here. And the second thing, that they contain future. And that's why that doesn't make sense. So now what do? We need passive and in the past. So here, has been searched, has found. So here, look, although the crime scene has been searched, that's fine. It's correct. It's present perfect, but of course we use present perfect to talk about the past. We're going to talk about that later. But this time, has found is active. And that's why it doesn't work. It's half correct, but the other half is wrong. I cannot say nothing meaningful has found. No, I need passive, as I said. So if you look at the first one now here in D, although the crime scene was searched, nothing meaningful was found. So now the two options are in the past and the two options are passive. And that's why, for example, for 14, the answer is D. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, it is.
Good. So this is just one example, and you will see a lot of other questions asking you about either the tense or the active versus passive, or sometimes like this question, they are asking you about two. So you have to understand, okay, what time the action is happening in the sentence. And the second thing, does the subject that I have here is the real subject that's doing the action, or is it actually the real object that receives the action? And then you can answer. Now let's start from question number 1. And look, what you are supposed to do now, here is the thing. The main thing, guys, that you are supposed to do now in these discussions is to take notes. Have you printed the test? Do you have it as a print copy?
No,
Okay.
I have on my computer.
Okay. It's better if you have it printed, but if you can't, or if you prefer digital, that's fine. But always make notes. Believe me, if I explain for hours and you understand and everything is fine, but you didn't take notes, the benefit will be very low. So to learn from these tests and to improve yourself in English in general and to get a high score on the proficiency test, you must always take notes. Sometimes it takes notes, you know, the meanings of the words, sometimes the grammatical rule, sometimes a trick here, a hint there, and so on. So now, how can I answer these questions? You must always have a keyword or a key phrase in the sentence. For example, the athlete, that's the subject, and look, all the options are verbs. So what's missing here is the verb. This is actually not a grammar question, of course. This is a vocab question because it's different words. They're not asking us about the verb because they are all in the ED. So that's not a grammar question. It's about a vocabulary question. So the athlete, her lifetime ambition. That's your most important word in the sentence because it's based on this word that you're going to choose the verb. What does it mean, ambition? Who can tell me? You can say it in Arabic, that's fine.
طموح.
Exactly. طموح. When she won her gold medal. So, you know, we have an athlete, a sports person, and she did something to her lifetime ambition. When was that? When she won the gold medal. And now it depends actually only on the meaning. And you need to know the meanings of all these words. So embarrassed, what does it mean? Put herself in an awkward situation, right?
Right.
أحرج. We cannot say that, you know, هي أحرجت طموحها. That doesn't make sense. She won a gold medal, and that's something positive. Explored her ambition? Maybe, but not really. Advanced her ambition? No. The answer is simply here B. Accomplished her ambition. What does it mean, accomplish? Another verb for accomplish is achieve. Achieve and accomplish have the same meaning. Who can tell me what they mean? Both.
وصول.
يحقق. Thank you. And that's why we are saying now, if we can, you know, talk about it in Arabic, إنه حققت طموحها. And that's why the answer is B. So please, now you can take a note that accomplish has another verb that has a similar meaning, which is achieve. And they both mean يحقق. And you can take notes of the words that you don't know, like ambition or embarrass and so on. That's what you're supposed to do whenever we discuss any question. If you already know it, you don't have to, of course. Like if you already know all these words and you got the answer right and everything is good, then you don't have to. But whenever you feel that this is a new word, or this is a new grammatical rule, or this is a new trick, you always take notes, whether you write it on the test itself or on your notebook, wherever, but something that you always use for revision. Question number 2. By the time he, 14, Wolfgang Mozart, an inviolable number of music pieces. As you can see here, when you look at the options, it's a grammar question. It's about the tense. Okay, and they're all in the past. But here I have two types of past. I have was, composed, and was composed. All of these are past simple. Here we have has composed, which is present perfect. And then we had composed, had been. That's past perfect. Okay, so they're telling you which past tense should we use here. Is it the past simple or the past perfect? We can talk about that very quickly here. For example, this is one of the units I told you about. We have unit 15. One whole page is about the tense itself and its uses and different examples, different situations. And then the second page, it's all exercises. So on one page you study, on the other page you practice. So for example, look here, for past perfect, they're telling us, Sarah and Paul went to the same party last week. So the action here is in the past, but they didn't see each other. So they went to the same party, but they didn't see each other. How is that? Because Paul left the party at 10:30 and Sarah arrived at 11 o'clock. So here we have now two different actions. Okay, so we have two actions, but both actions happened when in the past. Okay, but one of them happened at 10:30 and the other one happened at 11. Okay, that's the past perfect. It's very easy, it's very simple. What you do now is the action that happened before, it must be past perfect. And the action that happened after that, it's past simple. So we agreed that the two actions are already in the past. We know that, but we need to put them in order. What happened first? Okay, it's Paul. He left at 10:30. So it happened, it's done. And after that, we have another action that happened in the past, which is Sarah arrived at 11 o'clock. So now when you want to put the two actions in one sentence, the action of leaving, Paul's leaving, must be past perfect. Why perfect? Because it happened before. And the second one must be past simple. Let's look how they did it here. Look, they said, when Sarah arrived at the party, Paul had already gone. Because remember, Paul left at 10:30 and Sarah arrived at 11. And that's why what did we say? When Sarah arrived, Paul had gone. He was already, you know, gone. That's the main use of the past perfect. So Yahya, can you summarize it for me, please? When do we use the past perfect?
We use past perfect when it come something.
How many actions do we have?
2 actions.
And both of them are in which sign?
The past.
Good. Now tell me, which one do we use for past simple and which one do we use for past perfect?
The first action for past perfect. And the second one past.
Good. Thank you so much. Simple. And remember, when I say first and second, I don't mean the order of the sentence, because you can start with simple and then perfect, or you can start with perfect and then simple. So it's not the order of the sentence, it's the order of the actions, the time when they happen. And then you continue, you see, they show you how things work, examples, and so on. Now, let's go back to our test. So here, you need something, of course, to tell you. How do I know which one is simple and which one is perfect? Here you have by. By is very important. You have to highlight it. By the time he was 14, okay, what happened when he was 14? We should say here that, so now I know that it's not C or D, okay? It was, as I said. By the time he was 14, so for example, let's imagine now, of course it's in the past, but now let's imagine, now he is 14. But at this age, by the time he was 14, he had composed an inviolable number of music pieces. Why? Because we have 2 actions. The first action is the composition, ta'lif, music pieces. And the second action is his age. He was 14. But they're telling us, by the time he was 14, يعني لما صار عمره 14 كان already من قبل كان يعني ألف أعداد كبيرة من المقطوعات الموسيقية. So by the time here is a very important indication for you guys that by the time he was 14, he had composed. Of course, what is the form of the past perfect? Did you notice that? Hussam, can you tell me, please? How do you make the verb in the past perfect?
Has or have plus been.
Now, look, for the past perfect, it is had and then past participle, which is ed, or again, as I said, verb 3. And that's why here, look, we have had and then ed. So that's the present, the past perfect. So whenever you learn, guys, any tense, you have to learn 2 things, okay? Whether it's present simple, past continuous, present perfect. Whenever you learn a tense, you have to focus on 2 things. What are they? First of all, the use, the meaning. What does it mean when I use the verb in present simple? What does it mean when I use it in the past simple, and so on? Like when we talked about now, what is the use of past perfect? It's when you have 2 actions in the past. One happened before and then another thing happened. So the first one is perfect, the second one is simple. That's the thing that you should focus on. The second thing that you should focus on is the form, as we showed you now. Okay, now I understand that I should use the past perfect, but how do we make it? So after the subject, you must have had, and then you look at the verb, ed or verb 3. Of course, I'll send you all the verbs that do not accept ed, and we call them, as I told you before, irregular verbs. بالعربي بنقول افعال شاذه. ليه؟ لانه الافعال النظاميه هي الافعال تقبل ed. play بتصير played عادي. use بتصير used. watch بتصير watched. try tried. But there are other verbs, as you know, of course you know that, they cannot accept ed. صح? You cannot say seed. You cannot say run. So the past of see is saw. The third form is seen. Run, ran, run, and so on. So I'll send you the list of the irregular verbs, and of course you have to study them. Each verb. What is the first form? That's the present. Second form, past. Third form is called past participle. and it has many different uses. Now let's move to question number 3. Again, look at the options. It's about the verb tense. How do we know the tense? You must always find a word or a phrase to help you. For example, again, can you remind me what helped us in number 2? How did we know that the answer is A?
Because he typed 14.
Something else?
There was 2 verbs, so we have to take the first
By
verb,
the time.
the past tense.
By the time. So the by the time is the time phrase that helped us understand how we should answer the question. Here, for example, we have recently, because each verb has specific words that are used in that specific tense. Okay? So recently, we usually use present perfect. Let's see. So archaeologists, what does that mean, archaeologists? Do you know what that means, guys?
عالم جغرافيا.
Good. ما هو جغرافيا, what is it? علماء
أرض.
الآثار. اللي بينقبوا عن الآثار وبيبحثوا عنها وبيدرسوها وإلى آخره. Archaeologists recently that an ancient, what does that mean, ancient? Old. An old underground city around Cappadocia, long wide corridors where there are many special areas for making cheese and wine. Okay. So now it's the archaeologists who recently did something. And because it's recently, as I said, I know it's present perfect. So now let's look at the options quickly. Look, D, it's past perfect. It's wrong. B, it's also past perfect. That's how you should work. You don't try just to get the right answer. No, you start the opposite way. You cross out the answers that you are sure 100% that they are wrong. From the word recently, I know I need present perfect. So that means B and D are wrong because they have past perfect. Now, if you look at A and D, okay? Just a second, okay. So now when you look at A and D, here we have in the first part, have been explained, which is present perfect, and have explained, it's also present perfect. Who can tell me what's the difference between have explained and have been explained? We talked about it today. Been, have been, has been.
Been continuous.
It's the first one, A, have been explained, that's passive. مبني للمجهول. C, have explained, that's active. مبني للمعلوم. So what does it make sense to say إنه علماء الآثار شرحوا ولا شرحوا؟ هنا اللي شرحوا ولا في حدا شرحهم؟
شرحوا.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense to use passive here. So that's one reason. The other reason, I don't need past perfect because I'm giving you a fact. I'm بعطيك معلومة اللي هي إنه كابادوكيا فيها long wide corridors. فهذا الشيء موجود لحد الآن فما فيني أستخدم past perfect. So the answer is C because has present simple واللي قبله present perfect. Why did I choose present perfect? Because I have the word recently. طيب why C not A؟ لأنه أنا بدي active ما بدي passive. اتفقنا؟ That's why I usually immediately start with the test. But I felt that before we start the test, I have to tell you about the tenses and active versus passive. You have to, because many questions will be related directly or indirectly to your understanding of tenses and verb voice, active versus passive. So I hope really that you study that, guys. And I say again, where to study that from? Don't worry. I'll send you the material. You just need to download it. If you want to print it, if you want to, you can just use it on your laptop, but study and practice. Okay?
Okay.
Now, for example, question number 4, we have no problem. Both of you chose C, and that's the right answer. Okay, so for example, this question, everything is fine. We're not going to discuss it. But now let's move to question number 5. This is related to something called have something done. And again, here is the unit. Look, they always start with a scenario, a story, to make you understand the thing. Look what happened here. The roof, okay, of Lisa's house was damaged, destroyed. So she called a builder, and yesterday the builder, he came and repaired it, fixed it. So there were some damages, and she called a builder, please, I have something wrong on my roof, come and fix it, and he came. And that's why, for example, you cannot say here, look at this sentence, you cannot say in this situation that Lisa repaired the roof, إنه Lisa أصلحت السقف, because that would mean that she repaired it herself. هي اللي عملته بإيدها. So what do we use? We use this have, and then the object المفعول به بغض النظر شو هو. The roof, the bicycle, the car إلى آخره. ودن. طبعا done مو دائما فعل done، بس قصدهم فيها verb 3. مثل ما اتفقنا verb 3 أو 80. هذا هو past participle. تمام؟ فبالنسبة للفعل اللي بيجي بعد الأوبجكت لازم يكون دائما إما verb 3 أو 80. طب شو مشان الهاف؟ الهاف ما في له قاعدة محددة حسب التنس. اللي حصل هون كان في الماضي، فعادي نحن استخدمنا ماضي. جوز يكون حاضر بنحطه بالحاضر، يعني have ما له قاعدة. ليش؟ لأنه حسب التنس، حسب الزمن. أما بعد هذا الهاف بغض النظر إذا كان present ولا past ولا future لازم يكون في object، وبعد الأوبجكت الverb لازم إما تضيف له ed or the third form. فشو قلنا؟ ما قلنا as we said here that Lisa repaired the roof, because that would mean that she did it herself. No, but we know that she called the builder to do it for her. So what do we say? Lisa had the roof repaired yesterday, which means she arranged for somebody else to do it for her. Is it clear?
Yes.
Good. Let's do another example. Okay? Let's say here. For example, let's do number 4. Or let's do here exercise 3 and sentence number 2. For example, here we are saying, I didn't cut my hair myself. Of course, we go to the hairdressers or to the barber and they will cut our hair for us, right? So here I cannot say I cut my hair, because I cut my hair, it's something bad. But I mean that I went to a place where there's a professional person who helped me with this. So what should we say? أول شيء I know it's in the past لأنه didn't. فشو بقول I? Had. بعدين المفعول به الأوبجكت شو هو هون بهالحالة؟
My hair.
Good. I had my hair. بعدين الفعل cut. شو التصريف الثالث من cut؟
Cut.
بيضل على حاله cut. I had my hair cut. تمام؟ So it means I didn't do it myself, but I arranged for somebody else to do it for me. So you cannot say مثلا بالعربي بنقول حلقت شعري, but you cannot say in English I cut my hair. No, you say I had my hair cut. So this is the point of which question again? It's question number
5.
Yes, question number 5. So for example here, the best thing that you can do to extend, شو يعني extend؟ يمد, يطول. To extend the life of your car, if you want your car to last for a long time, is to, on a routine basis, بشكل روتيني. So of course we are talking about the service here. You must always, in a routine, or let's say on a daily basis, or not daily, but on a regular basis, you send it to the service to check it for you. So now we know that it's not make or let immediately. Can I use get? Yes, of course. You can say have something done, or you can get something done. الاثنين مقبولين, the same thing. But what's the difference between B and C? Who can tell me?
Past tense.
Be
لا لا,
past.
it's not past tense. Remember, اثنيناتهم بالحاضر, have و get. لأنه لو past كنا قلنا had أو got. So what is it? قلنا have something done. يعني لازم يكون إما verb 3 أو ed. Which one is the correct answer now?
B.
It is B, because it has ed. The difference between B and C is not the tense, it's not the verb, because you can say have or get. Here you have your car, here you have your car. The only difference is service. And as we said, we must have either ed or verb 3. And that's why the answer here is B. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are you taking notes with me?
Yep.
Good. Question number 6. This is something called, guys, verb pattern. شو يعني الverb pattern؟ يعني after a specific word, the verb can be ing or infinitive اللي هو to plus verb. أو ممكن يكون أمور تانية مثل الverb على حاله بنسميه البيس form، أو ممكن بعد هاي الكلمة أو الفعل لازم يجي object بعد object verb etc. There are many different patterns. But the main thing that we focus on when it comes to verb pattern is that is the verb or should the verb be in the ing form? Just a second. Or, so that's the first one, ing, or to plus verb without ing. So for example, here, the referee was about the match. About here, of course, it has many different meanings. But so, and that's why don't be in a hurry. I advise you always to read the whole sentence first. ما تقرا بس جزء من الجملة تقول خلاص أنا عرفت الحل. Never do that, because you don't know how things will change. So you read the whole sentence first and you highlight the key words. مثلا هون I have about the match due to some coins and plastic bottles thrown into the playfield. So the audience, or you can say the spectators, were throwing coins and plastic bottles. So the referee was about postpone. أول شيء شو يعني postpone? Delay. يؤجل. But neither team seemed willing playing. So now you have these things. First of all, it must be about to. يعني كان على وشك أن يؤجل. About to. مباشرة أنا إذا عرفت القاعدة, I know that A and D are wrong. Because when you say I was about to cry, for example, كنت على وشك البكاء. كدت أن أبكي, for example. And so on. So he was about to postpone. هاي أول وحدة. إذا لاحظتوا ال B وال C, they have the same thing, to postpone. معناتها رح نطلع على الثاني. What do we have here? Willing. Neither team, ولا واحد من الفريقين, seemed willing, راغب أو يرغب, willing to stop playing. فالجواب C. ليش? Because after willing also you use to. مو ing. So now you can take two notes. إنه when we have about وبعد verb, إذا الأباوت معناها, ركزوا معي, الأباوت, it has different meanings. It depends on the sentence. But if it means على وشك, من سياق الكلام, من سياق الجملة وأنت عم تقرأ, لازم تيجي بعدها to plus verb. So about to postpone. Willing, تمام, راغب, فبيجي بعدها كمان to plus verb. That's why the answer is C. So the referee was about to postpone the match, but neither team seemed willing to stop playing. طبعا هم postpone كان عم تيجي بمعنى يوقف المباراة. But most of the time it means يؤجل. Now let's move to question number 7. For this question, we have to think about it. Again, it's just about prepositions. And for prepositions, it depends on the word. For example, here, there is a warning, the bottom of the page. So here, your keyword is the bottom. And then here, to hand. So is there a rule? Of course not. It's an expression, and you should know that expression. Tamam? So here, there is a warning at the bottom of the form that applicants are requested to hand. Who can tell me now? There is only one option that starts with at. So what is the second one?
In.
Hand in. ركز معي. إذا لما بكون في عندي center في الوسط، top في القسم الأعلى، bottom في أسفل، بستخدم at the bottom, at the top, at the corner, at the center. هيك تبقوا ملاحظة عندكم. At the bottom, at the top, at the center, at the corner. طيب شو مشان الثانية؟ hand in، وفي عندي عكسها تمام اللي هي hand out. تمام؟ فلما أي حدا بيوزع على الناس شيء، واجب، استمارة، فهاند اوت عم بيوزع. طيب انت اخذت الهومورك وعملتها وبدك تسلم واجبك او بدك تسلم الاستماره بعد ما عبيتها، شو بتستخدم؟ هاند ان. اذا هاند ان يسلم، وخاصه قلت لك مثل استمارات او واجبات الى اخره. هاند ان يسلم، هاند اوت يوزع. انا وزعت على الناس استمارات او وزعت عليهم اوراق عمل او وزعت عليهم واجبات. هاند اوت لما بيعبوها وبيسلموها هاند ان. طيب بالنسبة for questions 8 and 9, again you got the right answers. So 8 the answer is A, 9 the answer is C. Let's move to question number 10. Question number 10 is about something we call transitional words. Okay? So we have transitional words. إذا رح نقول بالعربية كلمة ربط. Transitional words, what do? They do two things. First of all, they connect two ideas. هاي أول شغلة. الشغلة الثانية, they express the relationship between the two ideas. يعني مو بس بيربطوهم للفكرتين ببعض، بيعبرونا عن العلاقة بيناتهم. تمام؟ يعني مثلا أنا إذا العلاقة بين الفكرتين هي contrast، تناقض، أكيد ما راح أستخدم transitional word مثل مثلا for example أو therefore. لحتى أفرجيك إنه الفكرة الأولى مع الفكرة الثانية متناقضين بستخدم كلمات مثل however. صح؟ أو بستخدم كلمة مثل nevertheless. أو بستخدم كلمة مثل
although.
Yeah, but the problem is although is not a transitional word, it's conjunction. But you got the point. For example, if the idea is not contrast, the idea is addition. يعني إنه الفكرة الثانية هي إضافة على الفكرة الأولى. بالنسبة للaddition, you can use words like moreover, furthermore, تمام? Also, in addition, etc. إذا كان مثلا الفكرة هي cause effect، يعني سبب ونتيجة السبب. في شيء حصل ونتيجة له في شيء ثاني حصل. يعني أنت مثلا ما درست منيح، هذا السبب، فشو صار؟ رسبت في الامتحان. هي النتيجة تبع السبب. فبنستخدم كلمات مثل therefore، أو مثلا بنستخدم as a result، أو بنستخدم consequently إلى آخره. فكالعادة أنا راح أبعث لكم كل القائمات تبع أنواع الكلمات، وكل وحدة أي فكرة بتعبر عنها أنت لازم تدرسهم وبعدين نستخدم. تمام؟ طيب how do I answer the question about transitional words? You have 3 steps. تمام؟ What are the 3 steps that we have to follow? Look. For example, here we have in this question. أول شيء بتقرأ الجملة الأولى وبتطلع منها الكي words كالعادة. ما في شيء جديد. You have to focus on the keywords. So here, for example, we're talking about question number 10. تمام؟ مثلا تعالوا نشوف. Let's not go anywhere at the weekend. So now you need to ask yourself why. Because the weather reports say it's going to be rainy. شايفين شلون عم بختار الكلمات الأساسية؟ الفكرة الأساسية إنه not go. ليش؟ بسبب الweather. شو بالweather؟ rainy. هدول الكلمات المفتاحية الأساسية عشان تركز على الفكرة. فخلص أنت لخصت الفكرة مباشرة. What's gonna happen? We'll not go anywhere. Why? Because it's raining. The weather is not good. خالصين. طيب بعدين تقرأ الفكرة الثانية. We have a project to complete. طيب أنت برأيك الآن بعد ما تطلع الكلمات الكيوردز من the first idea and the second idea، إذا أول ستيب طلع الكلمات الأساسية ولخص الفكرة الأولى. نفس الشيء اعمله بالثانية. الخطوة الثالثة هذا لازم بقى أنت تفهم العلاقة بين الفكرتين. هل هي تناقض؟ هل هي idea وبعدين عليها example؟ هل هي sequence first second third؟ هل هي مثلا cause effect؟ هل هي addition؟ هل هي similarity؟ هل هي comparison؟ So now if I ask you guys, we said let's not go, the weather is rainy, we have a project to complete. What is the relationship between the ideas?
Addition.
Addition, perfect. And now I have two reasons not to go. First of all, the weather. Second, we have a project we have to do, we have to complete. Because it's addition, who can tell me what the answer is now for question number 10?
Moreover.
Moreover. Thank you, Hussam. And whenever you have a question like this, these are the steps. طبعا أول شيء لازم أنت تكون حافظان كل الكلمات وكل وحدة شو العلاقة اللي بتعبر عنها. That's the first thing. بعدين when you practice, you read the first sentence, you highlight the keywords to understand the summary, you do the same with the second idea, and then of course you just need to ask yourself, okay, so what are these two ideas about? How are they connected? How are they related? And then you choose the word that works in that specific context. Tamam? Now for question number 11, it's a vocabulary question. It's not grammar. Tamam? Officials are planning to the effectiveness of the environmental program. So we have an environmental program and we have officials, يعني مسؤولين, and they have to do something. What is that thing? The effectiveness, فعالية البرنامج البيئي. Afterwards, they will make some changes in the program if necessary. So before they make the changes, they need to do something to the effectiveness لفعالية البرنامج البيئي. So what is it? Ignore. شو معناتها ignore? يهمل، يتجاهل. ممتاز. Prohibit, what does it mean? يمنع. Conserve, يحافظ. Assess, يقيم. You have, if you don't know any of these words, write it down. If you know all of them, that's fine. You don't need to. طيب, according now to the sentence itself and the meaning I need to have here, which one is the best option to say? Assess, which is A. So first they will assess the effectiveness. رح يقيموا فعالية البرنامج, and then if there is any need to change, to make changes, they will do that. Now, 12 and 13, we are fine. So 12, you got the right answer, which is D. And then 13, you got the right answer, which is A. Tamam? So we have no problem with 12 or 13. We already did 14, if you remember. We talked about the tense and the active or passive. 15, we also have no problem. The answer is C. Because ليش طيب؟ لأنه هي عبارة هيك تجي. ما في سبب يعني إنه قاعدة. بس لازم نقول capable of و equal to. And you got the answer correct, both of you, for question number 15. Now let's discuss question number 16. As you can see here, 16, this time it's WH words, and WH words can be used in many different ways. For example, I can use them for questions. What are you doing? When are we gonna meet? Where have you been? Etc. But at the same time, I can use them to connect ideas. هون بيصير اسمهم relative pronouns. Okay, relative pronouns. كمان مثل ما اتفقنا, I have a worksheet. ببعت لكم الworksheet تدرسوها بتعملوا فيها exercises. If we want to translate that into Arabic, ضمائر الوصل, لأنه that's what they do. They connect the two ideas together. تمام؟ طيب. هلا, the way you get dressed, the way you wear your clothes is something annoys me most. What does it mean, annoy? يزعج. ممتاز. الآن the pronoun you're gonna use actually will be referring to this. أنت تسأل حالك what annoys me? The way you get dressed. So am I talking about the time? No. So C is wrong. Am I talking about the place? No. So it's wrong. Am I talking about, why is this appearing here? Okay. Am I talking about a choice? No. So B is wrong. So the answer is A. Always ask yourself for this. What annoys me? Look, what did I ask? What annoys me? I didn't say which annoys me. That doesn't make sense. What annoys me? The way you get dressed. So the way you get dressed is what annoys me. You cannot say which annoys me. So let's see. 17 and 18, we have no problems. Again, you got the right answer. So for both 17 and 18, the answer is B. Okay, 17, the answer is B, and 18, the answer is B as well. Okay, let's see question number 19. Clearly, you were not impressed. يعني من الواضح أنه أنت لم تكن معجب في الأمر. You weren't impressed much by what? By the way, لم تكن معجب بالطريقة. He managed the press conference. شو يعني press conference?
مؤتمر صحفي.
Okay. I must say I wasn't either. ليش؟ لأنه لو قلنا I was، طبعا ركزوا معي، الفكرة كلها نفي. It's negative. صح؟ Wasn't impressed. ولذلك لو نحن قلنا I must say I was، لازم مثلا طبعا ما بتشتغل، بس على سبيل المثال بتحط neither، لأنه بتكون بقى ال was positive وبدك negative بتحط neither. تمام؟ بس طبعا هي ما لازم تكون هيك، هي بتقول شو you were not impressed by the way he managed the press conference, and you know what? Neither was I. ولا أنا. Neither was I. إذا هي طريقة بتصير. Neither was I. بس هون ما قالوا لي، ما حطوا الفراغ قبل وقالوا لي was I. لا، قالوا لي I wasn't. فهون ما عرفت تستخدم neither. ليش؟ لأنه neither negative وال wasn't negative. ما صرت تحط اثنين negative. فبتقول I wasn't either. هيك بتصير معناتها ولا أنا. So the answer is D. I wasn't either. So again, whenever you hear of these things, you take notes. Okay, guys, that's the thing that will help us improve and learn and get a better score. Now, let's see question number 20. Everybody was present at the seminar, was given a book. طيب, the first part, again, look, what do we have here? WH words. But this time, I'm not asking a question. معناتها شو بنسميهم؟ شو قلنا اسمهم هلا؟ Do you remember?
Relative pronouns.
يا عين عليك. Relative pronouns. So now it depends. For example, we know that we use who or whom lil people, right? And we use which for things, objects, not people. طب شو مشان that? We can use it for both people and things. اتفقنا؟ طيب. That's the first point that you should keep in mind. The second point, طيب هلا نحن قلنا الهو والهو والهوم للpeople. طب امتى انا بستخدم الهو امتى الهوم؟ Any idea? الهو لما بيكون ال person you are talking about is the subject، الفاعل، الشخص اللي عم بيقول هو بالفعل. اما الهوم للobject، المفعول به. تمام؟ مثلا this is the girl who talked to my mother yesterday. Who talked to my mother? The girl. معناتها هي السبجكت فبستخدم who. طيب اما اذا انت عكستها وخليت الفاعل هو my mother، فانت قلت this is the girl whom my mother talked to. فصارت مفعول به فبتحط هون. اتفقنا؟ طيب الآن شلون بنبلش؟ بنبلش نقطة نقطة، أبداً ما تحاولوا تحلوا السؤال فوراً باختيار الإجابة الصحيحة. دائماً أول شيء شيلوا الخطأ. فأنا بعرف إنه everybody ما تشتغل مع الويتش، ليش؟ لأنه الويتش للأشياء for things not for people، خالصين. وهون لما قريت الجملة everybody was present، مين اللي was present؟ everybody معناتها هذا السبجكت، معناتها الهوم للأوبجكت ما بتشتغل. ممتاز، ضل عندي الA والB. لما نجي نطلع على الطرف الأول الهو بتشتغل والذات بتشتغل، لأنه احنا قلنا الذات you can use it for people or things. معناتها المشكلة ما هي هون، المشكلة هون. لما بتقرا الجملة everybody was present at the seminar was given a book on marketing strategies. هون الفرق بقى هو نفس الفكرة اللي حكيت لكم عنها، active ولا passive. يعني الكتاب كان هو اللي كتب ولا الكتاب كان مكتوب؟
passive.
Passive. So that you cannot say a book that wrote، لأنه لما تحط wrote فأنت قصدك الكتاب الذي كتبه، ما مشي الحال. Right? The meaning is wrong. So the answer is B. Written. هذا الverb 3. Write الماضي wrote، الverb 3 written. لأنه معناتها أنا هون بدي that تشتغل عادي، وهون بدي written لأنه بدي passive ما بدي active. So the answer is B. طيب. Let's see. 21. It's a vocabulary question. عم بيقول لك while the gypsies يعني الغجر. وفي لهم اسم ثاني هون Romani people. بس مو قصدهم على الرومانيين. هذيك Romanian not Romani. Have historically led a lifestyle. فأنت عندك 4 صفات وبدك تستخدم ال4 صفات لتوصف أسلوب حياتهم lifestyle. طيب كيف بدك تعرف كيف كان أسلوب حياتهم؟ بدك تكمل جملة. Most of them now live in permanent residence. أهم كلمة هي permanent. لو أنت عرفت الجملة كلها وعرفت الجواب الصح. شو يعني permanent؟
مؤقت.
Sorry؟
مؤقت.
عكسها تماما. permanent يعني دائم. طيب هلا بقى اتذكر نحن قلنا لازم تفهم العلاقة بين الطرفين. هي خلص الطرف الأول مع الفاصلة هون. فبلشوا while. شو يعني while؟ بينما. فشو العلاقة بين الطرفين؟ تناقض. now شوفوا now هن بيعيشوا بسكن دائم permanent residences. بينما historically في الماضي لازم أنا أختار الكلمة اللي تجي بمعناها شو؟ مؤقت. فعندك wealthy و affluent اثنيناتهم معناتهم rich غني and both are wrong ما بيشتغل. controversial شو يعني controversial؟ يعني argumentative. شو يعني اثنيناتهم argumentative أو controversial؟ مثير للجدل. يا ريت تكتبوها لو ما بتعرفوها. controversial argumentative. Both words have the same meaning. مثير للجدل. كمان ما بدي اياها. فالجواب هو ايه؟ شو يعني nomadic؟ رحال. يعني كانوا يترحلوا من مكان لمكان، ما كان لهم سكن دائم. هذا ايمت historically in the past. But now they live in permanent residences. طب أنا مثل ما قلت لكم كيف عرفت إنه أنا بدي أختار عكس كلمة permanent؟ لازم تركز على أول كلمة while. هون تيجي معنا بينما. So the relationship of ideas is contrast. بينما في الماضي كانوا رحالين from a place to a place. Now they live in permanent places or residences. طبعا residence يعني مسكن أو سكن. Agreed? The same thing for 22. Look, it's about vocabulary. Scientists that 230,000 life forms of all types are currently known, but the total could be up to 10 times the amount. So how many life forms do the scientists know about? 230,000. But you need to understand, كمان a relationship of ideas is what? Contrast. ليش أنا عندي but ولكن. But the total number, it can be 10 times of that. يعني احنا اللي بنعرفه هو 230,000, but it can be 2 million and so on. طيب شو لازم نقول الآن؟ بما أنه الكلمة المفتاحية طبعا عندك هالمرة لازم تكون الرقم 230,000 life forms. So بتقول scientists estimate يقدر، يعني يقدر العلماء بأن لدينا 230,000 نوع مختلف للحياة. So the answer is D, estimate. شو يعني estimate؟ يقدر. طبعا مو يقدر بمعنى يحترم أو يبجل، لا، تقدير عددي. طيب شو بقى الكلمات؟ overcome شو معناتها؟ يتغلب على. فمثلا بنستخدمها مع كلمة مشكلة overcome the problem. deny بمعنى ينكر. Okay? For example, he denied that he killed his wife. أنكر. demand يطلب. بس demand بتجي بمعنى قوي، يعني بعطيك أمر لازم تنفذه demand. أو بتجي بمعنى تجاري، العرض والطلب شو بنسميه؟ تعرفوا المصطلح التجاري؟ عرض وطلب. demand and supply or supply and demand. supply العرض، demand الطلب. So that's for question number 22. Again, it's about the meaning of words. ملاحظين شو كل الأسئلة هون عنا؟ إما عم يسألونا grammar أو vocabulary. And that's why what did we say at the beginning? These are the two areas that you have to focus on and study a lot. Study a lot of new words. Study a lot of grammatical rules. These are the things that will help you pass the test. طيب شو ضل عنا؟ 22 we have no problem. You both, oh, you know what? You didn't have a problem with this question. But anyway, we did it. 23. So this is about correlative conjunctions. We're going to talk about them, but now we can say until it's collapse. شو يعني collapse؟ سقوط. كلمة ثانية بالإنجليش طبعا يفضل لما تحفظوا الكلمة ما تحفظوها بالعربي. تحفظوها بالعربي أوكي، بس كمان تحفظوا مرادف لها بالإنجليش. Fall down, or you can say downfall. سقوط. Until its collapse, the Roman Empire, also known as the Holy Roman Empire, was a feared opponent, a respected territorial power in the world. So here what can we say? For 23, the answer is C. It was either a feared opponent, يعني كانت إما خصم يخشى منه، أو كانت قوة إقليمية محترمة. So either or. القاعدة يا جماعة كتير سهلة. هذول بالعادة بيجوا مع بعض، فشو هن؟ هن 3 أو فينا نقول 4. ودائما في عندي خيارين، يعني في عندك شغلتين, not just one thing. You have to. مثلا بتقول both something and. For example, both Ahmed and Muhammad play football. But then you have either, يعني إما. فطبعا ما لازم يجي بعد and. نحن بالعربي نقول إما هذا أو ذاك. Either this or that. طيب neither مثل ما قلنا neither هي negative من either، يعني لا هذا ولا هذا. So neither nor. تمام؟ آخر وحدة not only مو بس هيك but also there is something else. هدول بس كتبون هيك عندكم قاعدة. Okay? Both this and that, either this or that. النيجاتيف منا neither this nor that. آخر وحدة not only this but also that. مشان هيك نحن اخترنا C. Okay, so this is question number. Just a second. فيديو مش Okay, guys. So now we finished 23. For 24, we have no problem because for 24, you both got the right answer, which is B, drawback. Okay. Now, or let me see this. Yeah, it is B, purpose. One purpose of environmental engineering is to develop new houses, etc., etc. Okay, let's stop here now. Okay, let's have a break. The break will be for 15 minutes. And after the break, we can come back and continue, inshallah. Okay, so just remember, we stopped at question 24 and we're supposed to come back and continue our work starting from question 25. Okay, guys, any questions so far? Do you have anything that you would like to ask about?
No, thank you.
No,
All right, so see you after 15 minutes, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. Are you there?
Walaikum salam. Yes, I am.
Sorry for being late.
No, it's fine, no problem. Okay, guys, let's. So for question number 25, now here is the thing. These are what we call modal verbs. And let's write that here. Okay, so modal verbs. Modal verbs, they express different ideas. Okay, what are the modal verbs? Of course, we have can, should, must, have to. Of course, it can be has to, or in the past had to. May, might. You can also see something like ought to. Also, we have had better, etc. So for these verbs, they do not stand on their own. They need a verb, a main verb to follow them. Okay, so if I have the modal verb in the sentence, then it must be followed by a main verb. Okay, so have the idea. Now we can talk about them, of course, in detail. So let's see what we have here. First of all, when we talk about can, and now we're going to talk about the present. So let's say present modal verbs, when we use them in the present. For example, when we talk about can, we have two ideas in general. The first idea, of course, is ability. I can do this, I can do that. The second idea is to give permission. Okay, for example, you can drink water in class. That's not ability, that's permission. Or you cannot drink or eat in class. So the two main ideas that we have with can are either the ability, I can swim, I can drive a car, or a permission. The second one, we have should. And should simply means a good idea. And we use it for advice. Okay? For example, you should do exercises every day for 30 minutes. So I'm giving you advice. That's a good idea. And then we have must. Must is, it also has two rules. The first rule is obligation. Obligation يعني إلزام, إجبار, something you must do. But usually this is personal. تمام يا جماعة. For example, I'm hungry, so I must eat something. أنت مثلا برا البيت مع رفقاتك الساعة 12. For example, your family has no problem. You can stay, for example. But you personally feel that it's time to go. So you say, you know, guys, it's too late now. I must go. But nobody is telling you. It's a personal obligation. Or we use must for rules. For example, students who want to join our university must take the proficiency test. That's a rule. Okay? So these are the two ideas that we can get from must. Either a personal obligation or a rule. Have to, it's also an obligation, just like must, but it's by others. نفس المثال، لو أنت أهلك صار الساعة 10 بالليل وأنت بدك تضل بس أهلك ملزمينك إنه ترجع الساعة 10 بالليل، فشو بتقول؟ You know guys, now it's 10 I have to go. ليش هون قلنا I have to go? Because you, for example, your parents told you to do that. بس قلنا نفس الموقف بس صار الساعة 10 وما حدا فرض عليك شيء، بس أنت خلص بالنسبة لك شخصيا الوقت تأخر ولازم تروح، فبتقول I must go. هذا الفرق بين must و have to. ال must personal obligation. ال have to it's obligation imposed on you by others. فمثلا لما أنا بعطيك واجب بقول لك you have to do your homework. ليش؟ لأنه ما أنت اللي فرضت على نفسك أو ملزم نفسك بهذا الشيء. مثلا التيتشر said you have to do the homework. أما إذا أنت مثلا التيتشر قال لك you have to do the homework and hand it in on Thursday. فما عنده مشكلة الأستاذ ليوم الخميس، بس أنت حاسس حالك لازم تخلصها يوم الثلاثاء. فبتقول I must do the homework on Tuesday. فهذا الفرق. must of personal obligation. have to obligation by others. تمام يا جماعة؟ بعدين طبعا عندنا المay والmight. هاي للpossibility. تمام؟ we may go out, we might see each other. ربما إلى آخره. طبعا مع الكان you can also mention could. Okay? Could sometimes, not all the time, it's the past of can. تمام؟ Sometimes, not always. Sometimes could is the past of can. يعني now I can drive. When I was a child, I could drive. But also can, could, it can be a little bit used to be more polite than can. يعني it's polite to say, can I talk to you? That's polite, that's okay. But to be more polite, you can use could. Could I speak to you? So these are the two general uses of could in the present. Either it's the past of can, or it's a little bit more polite than using can. بالنسبة لل ought to هي نادرا ما تستخدم، بس نحن نكتب كل شيء مشان نكون جاهزين لكل شيء. ought to هي نفس الشد. It's just stronger advice. تمام؟ will had better أو خلينا نقول إنه مثل الشد تماما هون. أوكي؟ الادفايس وال ought to are equal. الشد وال ought to. أما بالنسبة ل had better فهي ال stronger advice. يعني فينا قال لك you should go to the doctor. فينا قال لك you ought to go to the doctor. بس ال had better بتعطي إنه لو ما رحت رح يصير في عاقبة ما هي حلوة. يعني you'd better go to the doctor before things get worse. تمام؟ So should للنصيحة, ought to كمان للنصيحة. ال had better للنصيحة بس هي أقوى لأنه بتيجي بمعنى إنه يفضل إنه تعمل هيك، لأنه إذا ما عملت هيك رح يصير في شيء مو منيح. فمثلا بقول لك you'd go طبعا had أغلب الأوقات مختصرة ب just d. You'd go, you'd better go to the doctor before something else happens. طبعا هي الكلمة. فطبعا نحن شلون تركيبة الجملة في ال present مثل ما قلنا لازم يكون عندك ال subject الفاعل، بعدين عندك الموديل verb أحد هدول. طبعا أنت السؤال رح يجيك على هدول، بيعطوك مثلا can, could, should, must وأنت تختار حسب الفكرة. And then of course there must be the main verb. كثير مننا بنعمل أخطاء بالmain verb يا جماعة. المين verb يجي على حاله. تمام؟ في ناس بتقول I can to, I should to. في ناس بتستخدم ing, I can playing, I should playing. No. Remember, after the modal verb, the main verb is in the base form. You don't add to, you don't add ing. You cannot use the past. No, you cannot say I can played, I should went. That's totally wrong. So whenever you have one of these modal verbs and you need to express an idea in the present, you just use a verb without adding anything. Tamam? طيب. The question now is, so how can I use the past with modal verbs? We said that all of these are in the present. What about the past? In the past, the form is like this. Past modal verbs. ركزوا معي بقى، شو بيصير هلا؟ دائما رح اكتب جنبها، دائما بعد السبجكت والمودال فيرب نفسه ما بيتغير طبعا. لحتى تعمل جملة في الماضي شو بتستخدم؟ بتستخدم have وبعدين ال past participle اللي كالعادة هو إما ed أو verb 3. تمام؟ I could have played. I should have said. He must have won. إلى آخره. تمام؟ طبعا باستثناء ال have to. حكيت لكم من قبل إنه ال have to طبعا إذا singular مفرد بتصير has to has، وبالماضي فيك بس تقول I had to بنفس المعنى تماما. I have to go الآن، بالماضي I had to go. But the rest, this is how you make. رح أكتبها هون كملاحظة. Except for have to. شو الماضي منا؟ قلنا had. But be careful now. The meaning is different. Okay? It's totally different. So when you say he must have been here, it's not the same meaning of must in the present, obligation. No. Here we have something else. Okay? For example, so I'm going to take this text and we're going to go to another page to write it here on its own. Isn't قلنا, we said, let's write here, note. The meaning is different. It's not the same. So for example, we have can't have done وعكسها must have done. هون يا جماعة بصير المعنى certainty. يعني certainty يعني being sure. لما بتقول he must have won هذا بالماضي، لابد أنه فاز، أنت متأكد. تمام؟ أو عكس المust ما بصير نقول must not have done، نقول cannot. He cannot have won، يعني أنا متأكد إنه ما يكون ممكن إنه فاز. فهون الأيديا تبع must وكان مختلفة تماماً عن حكيناه بالpresent. So be careful about that. بالنسبة للshould كمان لما بتقول should أو shouldn't طبعاً have done هون بتصير past obligation. أمر طبعاً قلنا should في العادي نصيحة، هون لا، هون بتصير إلزام في الماضي. يعني مثلاً أنا طلبت سلطة وما شبعت، فبقول كان لازم أطلب شيء تاني. فتقول I should have done ordered something else. إذا it's past obligation. تجي بمعنى كان لازم. مثلا أنت ما درست منيح وما جبت علامة منيحة بالكورس أو بالتست، فبقول لك you should have studied much harder. كان لازم عليك إنه تدرس بشكل أفضل. إذا should have done صار past obligation. بالنسبة لل could have done إلى معنيين، إما ال possibility أو هي بال possibility. تمام؟ هي ورح نكتب معها may و might. بيصيروا كلهم هون شو؟ possibility. مثلا تقول I could have spent my time somewhere else. كان فيني أقضي وقتي مكان تاني. I might have been lazy. ممكن أنا كنت كسول. فطبعا هذا كله ركزوا معي، قلنا past عشان ما نخربط يا جماعة. هدول المعاني كلها في الماضي. بس الماضي قلنا شلون بنعمله؟ بعد ما تحط المودال verb بتحط have و past participle. قلنا ما عدا ال have to بتصيب الماضي had to. والمعاني مختلفة تماما يا جماعة. فلازم أنا أعرف المعاني بالpresent أسهل. قلنا ال can ability أو permission. ال should advice. ال must personal obligation or rule. have to obligation by others إلى آخره. هون بدنا ننتبه. تمام؟ لأنه بالobligation ممكن نستخدم must بالحاضر. أما هون ما فيك تستخدم. إذا قلت must have done هذا مو معناته إلزام أو إجبار، معناها تأكد، حتمية. والعكس من must مو must not، can't. So these are the main ideas. Just one point إنه يا جماعة حكينا نحن عن الفرق بين ال have to وال must لأنه بيشبهوا بعض، هذا obligation وهذا obligation، بس قلنا ال must personal obligation، ال have to by others. هلا النفي من must هو طبعا must not. شو بتجي بمعنى؟ بتجي بمعنى not allowed، غير مسموح. مثلا بقول لك you must not do this، ممنوع تعمل هذا الشيء. تمام؟ اما ال have to بما انه هي فعل عادي فطبعا بتصير بالحاضر اما don't او doesn't have to، وبالماضي didn't have to. يعني بتستخدم معها بالنفي don't او doesn't او didn't. don't و doesn't للحاضر، ال I you he, we they don't، he she it doesn't. اما didn't للماضي وبتضل have to. فهون شو بيصير المعنى؟ عكس must not تماما، لانه في كثير ناس بتخربط. must not قلنا not allowed، you cannot do this. أقول you must not talk in class، ممنوع تحكي في الصف. أما إذا قلت لك don't have to يعني not necessary. تمام؟ معناها بتصير not، ليش ما ننزل لتحت؟ هون بتصير معناها not necessary، يعني you can do it. تمام؟ بس ما هو لازم. مثلا at the weekend there is no school. So you don't have to wake up early. You can wake up early, but you don't have to. مو ضروري تفيق بكير. ليش تفيق بكير؟ ما عندك مدرسة مثلا at the weekend. اتفقنا؟ هذا الفرق بين must not و don't have to. must not ممنوع منعا باتا، ما بصير تعمله. أما don't have to معناته إنه بيصير تعمله but not necessary. اتفقنا يا جماعة؟
تمام.
كله تمام؟ طيب طبعا احنا حكينا الحكي كله ليش؟ مو بس مشان نحل سؤال واحد، مشان اي سؤال يمر علينا شبيه في هذا السؤال راح نحله. خلص عارفين القواعد، عارفين كل واحد شلون بيشتغل، تركيبة الجملة معنى كل واحد الى اخره. تركيبة الجملة بالحاضر بعد المودال فيرب بتحط فعل عادي. اما لما تروح على الباست فلا، بعد المودال فيرب لازم يكون في have وبعدين الباست participle اللي قلنا هو اما الاي دي او الثيرد فورم. Any question?
No.
Would you like to ask about anything? Is there anything that's not clear?
Everything is clear.
Good. طيب. Now, let's look here at question number 25. So as you can see here, because now we have modal verbs. Now, with the development of information technology, so the development of IT, information technology, we addicted. شو يعني addicted؟ مدمن. To machines so much that it's impossible to conduct simply means do any operation. Operation عملية. Without these gadgets. Gadget يعني device. جهاز إلكتروني. Gadget. تمام؟ طيب. فهلا بالنسبة لل 25 عم بيقلنا with the development of technology or information technology we addicted. تمام؟ مدمنين على الآلات so much that it's impossible to conduct almost any operation without them. فهو شو فينا نستخدم؟ طبعا نحن نسينا نذكر الويل والwould. الويل كلها بنعرفها I will do this I will do that. would تجي بمعنيين، إما هي الماضي من will أو would لشيء خيالي. تمام؟ يعني مثلا بقول لك I would never lie to you. يعني بحياتي مستحيل، ما بتخيل حالي أكذب عليك. would. فهون الجواب الصحيح لل 25 يا جماعة شو هو؟ لازم يكون C. أول شيء أنا ماني محتاج لمودال فيرب بالفراغ الأول. لا we have become أصبحنا مدمنين على الآلات. بعدين بقول لك it would be impossible سيكون من المستحيل to conduct almost any operation without these gadgets. So the answer is C. خلونا بس مشان ما ننسى نضيفها على القواعد تبعنا. طبعا احنا هون من ضمن كمان المودال verbs قلنا انه في عنا هون في عنا الويل. طبعا نعرفها الويل بشكل عام هي للفيوتشر، والwould إلى معنيين، إما بتكون هي past of would، تمام، أو بتكون ل something unreal، أو بين قوسين خلينا نقول impossible to happen. impossible to happen. تمام يا جماعة، هاي بس ضيفوها كمان عندكم مع النوتس. إذا نحن الويل بنعرف استخداماتها. الwould إما بتكون الماضي من will، وهي نفسها الماضي من will بتصير بتجي بمعنى إنه هذا الشيء مستحيل يحدث. تمام؟ unreal، impossible to happen. يعني شو عم نقول نحن؟ عم نقول it would be impossible، سيكون من المستحيل to do any operation without these gadgets. طيب 26 مثل ما قلنا هون هذا له علاقة بالverb pattern، شكل الفعل، هل هو to see ولا seeing ولا to be seen ولا being seen. طبعا الفرق أول شيء يا جماعة بين ال A وال B في عندي فرقين. نحن قلنا to see هاي بنسميه infinitive اللي هو to plus verb. شو هو الانفينيتيف؟ هو to plus verb. أما ال ing بنسميه gerund. إذا حدا قال لك gerund verb أو gerund form قصدنا فيها ال ing. فبتلاحظ إنه السي والتي نفس الشيء. السي هي كمان infinitive لأنه في to be seen، وال being seen كمان gerund لأنه فيها ing. بس شو الفرق؟ مين بيقول لي؟ شو الفرق بين ال A وال B من طرف والسي والD من طرف ثاني؟ نحن بنعرف الآن إنه ال A وال C infinitive to plus verb، وبنعرف إنه ال B وال D gerund ing. بس شو الفرق أصلاً بين ال I وال C والفرق بين ال B وال D؟
ال A وال B تشوف وال C وال D تنشاف.
Sorry؟
ال A وال B تشوف وال C وال D تنشاف.
Okay. So can you say it in English? These verbs are in which voice? Active. وهدول passive. تمام ممتاز. Thank you. يعني أول هدول الاثنين بالبي والسي والدي هدول مبني للمجهول passive. أما الA والB هن active. So it's worth the film on TV tonight. معناتها أنا عندي الفيلم. تمام؟ فأنت هل فيك تقول it is worth to be seen the film, being seen the film؟ لا. worth يعني بيستاهل. it's worth. هون بقى السؤال بعد كلمة worth هل نحن المفروض نستخدم ing ولا نستخدم infinitive ing؟ it's worth seeing the film on TV tonight. يعني هذا الفيلم بيستاهل واحد يشوفه المساء. إذا بس نكتب قاعدة بعد الworth ing. هلا active ولا passive حسب معنى الجملة. تمام؟ بس بنكتب نوت إنه يا جماعة بعد الworth بعد هاي الكلمة worth لازم يجي ing. أما مثل ما قلنا إذا طب active ولا passive حسب الجملة نفسها. 27 we have no problem. The answer is D. 28 again it's about what? It's about vocabulary. So we said 27 we have no problem. The answer is D. But 28 look in areas people usually have agricultural work. The most important word is agriculture. And remember, whenever you answer a question, there must be a keyword that you are basing your answer on. You cannot just say, okay, you know what, I chose A because it works. No, you need to know why. So agriculture, what does it mean? Or agricultural here as an adjective, what does it mean?
زراعي.
Good. So in which areas we have agriculture work? أول شيء عندي urban هي adjective للcity. فنحن بنعرف city مدينة، urban مدني. في المناطق المدنية. Does that work? No. Blank. شو يعني blank? Empty. فارغ. وoppressive ظالم. فأكيد ما فيك تقول والله في المناطق الظالمة. People usually have agricultural work. So the answer is A. ليش؟ لأنه rural هي الادجكتيف من countryside. countryside الريف. rural كصفة ريفي. إذن في المناطق الريفية people usually have agricultural work. So please write down the meaning of these words. So urban is the adjective of city. Rural is the adjective of countryside. Blank means empty. Oppressive means unjust. Unjust, unfair. غير عادل. Unfair, ظالم. #29, again, it's about vocabulary. Primary school teachers leave impact on students' character development. So we're talking about the students' character development, and teachers leave يتركون impact. What does it mean, impact? Effect. أثرا. Effect تأثير أو أثر. تمام? This is for 29. So artificial. Artificial means صناعي. مشان هيك بنقول على الذكاء الصناعي artificial intelligence. IA or AI. بعدين في عنا شوفوا shallow superficial التنتين معناهم نفسه هدول مرادفات. shallow و superficial شو معناهم؟ سطحي غير عميق. بس الانسر هي C اللي هي عكسهم. deep profound يعني deep. يعني المعلمون هون يتركون أثراً عميقاً في تطور شخصية الطلاب. إذن B with D are the opposite of the right answer because it means on the surface level, not deep. Artificial doesn't work because we cannot say artificial impact. So the answer is C, which means deep. Profound means deep. 30, we have no problem. You all got the right answer, which is D. Okay, these are precious objects. What do I mean, precious?
I mean.
Sorry?
خلاص ماشي.
Precious means important. And expensive. But not all the time expensive. ليش؟ لأنه شوفوا الأشياء الغالية فينا نستخدم expensive. صح؟ أما لما تقول له لواحد أنت غالي علي ما تقول له you are expensive to me. أنت ما بتدفع حقه للزلمة صح؟ So what do you say? You are so precious to me. أنت غالي علي. Precious. For precious we can use it for people. And we can use it for things. But expensive we cannot use it for people. Only for things. That's a difference. So these are precious objects. يعني هاي أشياء غالية. Each of which was meticulously manufactured. طبعا manufactured, what does it mean? Can you give me another word in English that means manufacture?
Made.
Yes, exactly. Produce. لأنه produce ينتج وmanufacture ينتج. بما أنه هي precious طبعا هي الكلمة المفتاحية. بما أنه precious ما بقول carelessly أو indifferently. هدول كلمتين نفس المعنى بلا مبالاة. وانتبهوا يا جماعة كلمة indifferent مثل ما بتظن كثير من الناس هي ما يعكس كلمة different. بيقولوا different مختلف indifferent يعني غير مختلف. لا indifferent تعني careless لا مبالي. فلذلك please pay attention to this. Many people think that indifferent means the opposite of different, but no. Indifferent means a person who doesn't care. مشان هيك ال A وال B نفس المعنى والاثنين غلط. ما فينا أقول لأنه هن الأشياء ثمينة تم إنتاجهم بلا مبالاة. أكيد لا. ولا simply. It's not simple. Meticulously. شو يعني meticulously? Carefully. عكس carelessly. Meticulously means very carefully and with focus on detail. So the answer is D. Now, here it's almost similar to what we have been doing in the first part. But this time they are giving us a whole paragraph. So they still ask us here about vocabulary and grammar. Like question number 32 and question number 35, this is grammar. Questions 31, 33, 34, these are about vocabulary. But this time it's not one sentence, it's a paragraph to give you a bigger context. So let's see which questions. 31, we have no problem, which is B, private. The test scores of private schools are higher than those of public schools. The main reason scores are higher in class is class sizes. فهنا أنا عندي the main reason, صح? Since I'm talking about the reason, which of these pronouns we usually use to give a reason or to ask about the reason?
Why?
Why? So the answer is C. Why? Because we have reason. The main reason why scores are higher, why? It's because of the class size. Children in such schools do not have diligent, suspicious, congested, multilingual. Because here we have the word classes. Focus with me here, okay? Here we have the word classes, and I need an adjective to describe those classes. They are already described in the sentence before, which is talking about what? The size. So whatever you choose, it must be related to the size. That's why. Can you say diligent, hardworking? No. So diligent means hardworking, and it cannot work. Suspicious, يعني مثير للشبهة أو مشتبه به. No. Multilingual, متعدد اللغات، كمان لا. أنا بدي شيء له علاقة بشنو؟ بالكلاس سايز. مشان هيك المرة السؤال يا جماعة مو بس جمل. بدك تنتبه إنه الأسئلة هالمرة جوابها مرتبط في الجمل اللي قبل واللي بعد. مشان هيك إنه حاطين السؤال بهي الصيغة. الصفة الوحيدة, adjective, the only adjective that tells us about the size is A. شو يعني congested? Crowded. شو يعني crowded? يعني full, مزدحم, مليء, full of something. إذا مشان هيك الجواب congested, because it means crowded. Because those students, you know, they don't have crowded classes. Okay, let's continue. Now, for 34, let's see here, we have no problem. You got the right answer. 34, which is B, prevents, يمنع. Okay, and for 35, here, look, that's why the students can focus more. What do we use with focus? Focus off, focus at, focus above, focus on. What do we use?
At.
Focus on. That's why the answer is D. Okay, focus on. Okay, guys. Let's see here. In the same way, we have other questions in a paragraph, 36 to 40. Now, more than 1,000 studies, something that media violence, العنف المعروض في الميديا وسائل الإعلام تعرفوا أكيد, can have negative effects, آثار سلبية on children. So what should we say? Will prove, are proving, have proven, or will be proved? First of all, give me two options that are obviously wrong.
Will prove, will be proved.
Good. because I cannot use the future here because it's already done. طيب more than 1,000 studies are proving ولا have proven.
Have proven.
Good. ليش؟ مثل بالعربي لما نقول أثبتت دراسات علمية أو قد أثبتت، لأنه ال are proving يعني continuous تثبت. It's still doing the action, but no. أثبتت خالصين have proven that media violence can have negative effects. So the answer is C. For 37, we have no problem. You got the right answer, which is sensitive. For 38, here we are saying that media violence is what? Damaging to young children aged 8 and under. So we have particularly, slightly, it means a little bit. Inconsiderably, again, it means a little bit. Collectively, it means wholly. بشكل تام, بشكل جماعي. But the answer is A. Particularly, what does it mean? Especially. يعني أقول لك العنف في الميديا هو damaging to young children. ضار بشكل خاص للأطفال الصغار. Aged 8 and under. So we must use here particularly. Slightly بتعني بشكل قليل. Inconsiderably نفس الشيء. Collectively بتعني شكل جماعي. But no, I just need to say بشكل خاص. Media violence is particularly, especially damaging to young children. 39, we have no problem. The answer is B, between. You just need to know that between, we use it when we have two things. Okay? Among, if we have 3 or more. يعني هون مثلا ليش اخترنا between? Because they cannot tell the difference between real life, هي أول شغلة, and fantasy. بس عندك شغلتين, real life and fantasy, فبتحط between. لو كان في أكثر بتقول among. الاثنين معناهم بينه. بس between للشغلتين among. يعني مثلا أنت بتقول لرفيقك I trust you among all my friends. من بين كل رفقاتي. صار أكثر من 2. فبتستخدم among. أما إذا كان بس شغلتين تستخدم between. اكتبوها كملاحظة. إذن among ل 3 plus. أما between just for 2. طيب, question number 40. Here they're telling us the negative effects media violence has. The negative effects media violence has been known to have. No drastic changes have been made to deal with this problem. وكلهم عم يعطوني although, in spite of, but, despite. فهنا بدهم كلمة تعبر عن الكونتراست, التناقض. يعني على الرغم من كل هاي الآثار السلبية اللي عم نحكي عنها, ما كان في أي تغييرات لا نتعامل مع هاي المشكلة. To deal with this problem. طبعا احفظوا هذا كمان المصطلح. Deal بيجي بعدها with. Deal with this problem. فهل نقول although أو in spite of the fact that أو but أو despite. هذا معناهم كلهم واحد, بس بيختلف وقت تركيبة الجملة. كيف؟ although لازم يجي بعدها حصرا subject and verb. تمام؟ بس هم ما عندي subject and verb. عندي the negative effects. عندي noun, اسم. In spite of the fact that كمان ما مش الحال, لأنه بيجي بعدها subject and verb. نفس الشيء للبut, لازم يجي بعدها subject and verb. Despite هي الوحيدة اللي تقبل يجي بعدها فقط اسم. Despite the negative effects, يعني على الرغم من الآثار السلبية, media violence has been known to have, وبعدين بنكمل الجملة. إذن although لازم يجي بعدها subject verb مباشرة. In spite of, the same thing, but, the same thing. Despite, it works if only a noun comes after it. What is the noun here? Effects. Despite the negative effects. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Today, we are going to stop here. Okay? For the rest of the test, inshallah, tomorrow, we're going to have our lesson again, and we can discuss the other questions. Okay, guys?
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Do you have any question today?
No, thank you.
Okay, so please, as we said, now you are taking notes, you are getting the idea, you understand what's going on. What you need to do is just go back to the test, write down these notes. If there's a new word, you have to study the new words and their meanings. If there's a new grammatical rule, I'll send you, as I told you, the units you have to study and practice so that you can get better and better. And if you do that, regularly, inshallah, I promise you, you will get a very high score on the test. But you have to work hard. You have to work every single day. Okay, guys?
Okay.
Without hard work, this course will not be enough. Like, yes, you are getting the ideas, the meaning of words and everything, grammar. But if you don't study them, if you don't follow up on your own, you're not going to get any benefit. So inshallah, everything will be fine. Just do your work and study well. That's it for today. And we're going to have another lesson tomorrow, inshallah, to continue with the same test. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you,
Thank you for
guys.
your time,
Have a good
teacher.
day.
You too.
Thanks.